Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling. I am still sick, so we're just going to cover this grotmas detachment for the Thousand Sons. An army that I quite like the look of, so I figured this would be a fun one to take a look at. So first up we have our detachment rule, which is a flow of magic. Certain areas of the battlefield are within your army's flow of magic as follows. Your deployment zone is always within your army's flow of magic. At the start of any phase, if you control at least half the objective markers within no man's land, till the end of that phase, no man's land is within your army's flow of magic. At the start of any phase, if you control at least half the objective markers within your opponent's deployment zone, till the end of that phase, your opponent's deployment zone is within your army's flow of magic. So very similar to the Chaos Demon's Shadow of Chaos, but the effect is different. Each time a Thousand Sons model from your army makes a psychic attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. If such a model is wholly within your army's flow of magic, each time it makes a psychic attack, add 1 to the wound roll instead. This is pretty nice, as most psychic weapons tend to be middling or low strength, so getting +1 to wound is very nice, and even outside of it, rerolling ones to wound is a generally helpful buff and can be very helpful to maybe stack just an extra couple, what do they call it, devastating wounds off those psychic profiles. Alright, next we have to cover the enhancements. First up is Arcane Might for 20 points. For the Thousand Sons model only, so this could be pretty much any Thousand Sons character. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of psychic weapons equipped by models in the bearer's unit. While the bearer's unit is wholly within your army's flow of magic, add 2 to the strength characteristic of that psychic weapon equipped by models in that unit instead. This is pretty solid, especially with the +1 to wound. Can make things like Strength 5 magic significantly more effective, as it will be all the way up to Strength 7, which makes it very effective with +1 to wound. Empowered Manifestation is 20 points. This is for a Thousand Sons model only. While the bearer's unit is wholly within your army's flow of magic, add 6 inches to the range of psychic abilities the bearer has that specify a range, including rituals. And each time a model in the bearer's unit takes a hazard test for a psychic weapon, you can re-roll the test. This is at least interesting, just to get more range on things like Doombolt. And rerolling hazard tests won't come up very often, but when it does, it could come into its own to really save you a lot of points by saving a very valuable sorcerer of some kind. Next, we have Empiric Onslaught for 25 points, which is for a Thousand Sons model only. While the bearer's unit is wholly within your army's flow of magic, add 3 to the attacks characteristic for ranged psychic weapons equipped by the bearer. This is really nice. Again, more attacks is one of the most powerful buffs you can get on any kind of weapon, so this is useful, especially with the +1 to wound. It'll make this sorcerer much more effective at stacking saves. The Noctilith Mantle is 15 points, Thousand Sons model only. While the bearer's unit is on the battlefield, it is wholly within your army's flow of magic. Models in that unit cannot be selected to use any rituals. So this is a bit of a trade-off, as you can't use rituals, but you always will be at +1 to wound with psychic weaponry. So that is generally pretty useful, and I would say could definitely be worth it if you have something that's going to be operating off on its own all the time. For 15 points, I think it's okay. In fact, I'd say most of these are merely okay. Nothing too standout, though. Moving on to the stratagems. First up is Warding Hex. For a Psyker unit from your army within range of an objective marker, that objective marker remains under your control until your opponent's level of control over that objective marker is greater than yours at the end of a phase. So sticky objectives, very useful to have on command. Wrath of the Doomed is 1 command point in your fight phase just after you've been selected as a target. This basically gives you fight on death. This is moderately helpful. You get +1 to the roll if you're within the flow of magic, so on a 3+, you fight before you die. This is good for units that have decent melee damage, which is really only the Scarab Occults, though I suppose something like a Hellbrute could also get a little bit of damage out of this. Next, we have the Strands of Time, which is in your movement phase, just after a Thousand Sun Psyker unit from your army falls back. It has to be that unit. Till the end of the turn, your unit is able to shoot or declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. If you're within this flow of magic, you can shoot and declare a charge. This is really useful to have on a command point, just because you won't need it very often, but it'll be impactful when you do. And honestly, I don't think the powered up effect is that much to worry about, though of course it is a nice bonus to have, to be able to shoot and charge instead of one or the other. Moving on, we have Through the Veil, which is 1 command point. the start of your reinforcement steps of your movement phase, 1 Rubric Marines or Scarab Occult Terminator unit from your army that is in Strategic Reserve. If it's a Rubric Marines unit, till the end of the phase it has Deep Strike when your unit is set up on the battlefield using the Deep Strike ability. If it is a Scarab Occult Terminator, it can be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is greater than 6 inches away from enemy units, so long as that's within your flow of magic. And you can't charge if you use that ability with Scarab Occult Terminators. This is a potentially powerful one, but I believe that its restriction that it has to be in the flow of magic isn't the most interesting, as that means it's sort of a win-more condition, as if you already control someone's control the flow of magic that far into someone's deployment zone, you're likely already winning anyways. Next up, we have Scouring Warp Flame, which is in your shooting phase, with 1,000 Sun Psyker unit from your army that's not been selected to shoot this phase. It is wholly within your army's flow of magic. Till the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have Ignores Cover, a solid enough ability. After your unit is shot in this phase, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. Till the end phase, models in that unit can have the benefit of cover. This is a fairly solid thing to have on a command point, though not the most flashy. 1,000 Suns tend to be decent on AP anyways, but it is nice to be able to bypass cover, which is so easy to get. And then finally we have Kaleidoscopic Tempest, which for one command point in your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit is selected as targets. 1,000 Sun Psyker unit from your army that was selected as a target. Till the end of the phase, your unit has a stealth ability, and if your unit is wholly within your army's flow of magic, each time an attack targets your unit has benefit of cover. This is pretty solid on a command point, especially against things like autocannons that could be really tearing you up. Having this extra little bit of durability is very nice on command. And, of course, it's useful to keep things like backfield objectives campers very safe from things that could be targeting them from long range, which you, of course, don't want to happen. I would say, on the whole, though, this detachment is one of the least interesting ones they've shown off so far. I think its enhancements are merely okay. Its army rule, while solid, I don't think is going to change too much. It'll be very useful on things like Magnus to get +1 to wound on his big psychic attacks, and the melee of certain sorcerers will certainly appreciate it, though I would not say that they're melee forces with +1 to wound. I would say in terms of stratagems, they're all fairly vanilla. Through the Veil is potentially interesting, but I believe it requires too much setup to really be worth it. Wrath of the Doomed is really only useful on Terminators, as they're the only dedicated melee unit. Warding Hex is always solid to have sticky objectives on command, especially for a faction that I don't believe innately has it. I believe cultists do, but it's nice to have regardless. Strands of Time is useful for extra flexibility, but isn't useful for much else. Warp Flame is nice, but nothing special. And then Kaleidoscopic Tempest is a solid enough defensive buff. However, overall, again, it's a fairly milquetoast detachment in my opinion. I've been Spoons Rattling. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.